everyone, how's it going, and welcome back to another video. So today I thought I would tell you guys and show you all of the equipment and gear that I use to make my YouTube videos. So just a disclaimer, at the beginning of when I first started YouTube, I would never have had any equipment like this. So I've just been building up my equipment since the day I started, and it's just little things. So none of this really is mega expensive, and this isn't like the top of the range equipment. This is just things that I use to get the job done. And I've been using pretty much all of this for the past 4 months. So yeah, so I'm just going to show you guys what I
Baby, while we're young,
about is my camera. This here is the Canon SX60HS, and I've spoke about this camera so many times on my channel before in the past, and I've done a bunch of videos on it. So if you guys do want to check out more information about this camera, then there will be other videos around. I'm just going to give you the quick specs. So this here does 1080p at 60 frames per second. It has a flip out and reversible screen, so it's perfect for vlogging. It does have image stabilization, and it does also have a 20.1 megapixels, I think, and a 65 times optical zoom, a pop-up flash, hot shoe, mic input, everybody. And this is for about £300, this camera, so it's not too bad. It gets the job done, and it does a pretty good job, to be honest. So I do have spare batteries which are in here, and I do have 2 spare batteries, and I always keep them on charge. And the SD card that is pretty much always in here is a SanDisk 64GB class 10 memory card, because I was in Sainsbury's and they was doing this for a deal for like £10. I thought, well, I can't obviously say no, it's £10, so I did get that. And yeah, I love this camera so much. But before I continue talking about the rest of my equipment, I'm actually going to switch to using this. So now that I've actually switched to using this camera, I'm going to talk about what I was just using there. So what I was using there was my iPhone. So I do 1080p at 60 frames per second on my phone, and this is the iPhone 6. It came out in 2014, and I've been using that for just over a year pretty much. But with that, I also use this adapter. So what this does, put my phone in it. So what this allows me to do is put a cold shoe adapter at the top, so that means I can attach a microphone or a light, and it has a tripod adapter at the bottom, so that means that I can put it onto a tripod, hence why it's called a tripod mount. And it does also have a levelizer, so it can tell me whether or not the camera is straight. I've been using this setup for the past year, and I've been using my phone for the past year, but this I've probably been using for the past maybe 5 to 6 months, and I do use this whenever I use my phone, because it does allow an extra bit of stability, and it is also a phone adapter, and I can also put in a microphone or a light on top for better quality, I suppose. Where is even the phone these days? Oh, it's in here. No, it's not. There you go. I live in this house and I can't even find the phone. So the equipment that I was using at the beginning of my YouTube channel was this here. Now this is the Panasonic HDD SDR H20. So this here is a camcorder, and it does also have a flip out and reversible screen. So it was good for vlogging or whenever I'm filming and I want to see myself. And the one thing that I did like about this is that I already had it, so it meant that I didn't have to spend any money on getting proper cameras. I used this, and this is what I used for the first 2 months. Now the weirdest thing is that I refused to use my phone, because I was just like, look, if I'm going to do this, I want to have a camera so that it's not using up all my phone storage, and I refused to use it. I just wasn't using it, no matter how many YouTube videos told me to use my phone. And then I also had this camera here, which is the Samsung DV90. So this here is a tiny little point and shoot mirrorless camera, and the batteries aren't charged. And this does support a micro USB, where this supports an SD, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, SD card. And the one thing I did love about this is that it was small, it did do 720p, but it did have a tiny LCD screen in here, so that meant I could see myself whenever I'm vlogging. And the London vlog that I did over a year ago now, I did use this camera. It did the job. It wasn't exactly the best quality, but it was simple. And this is 480p, so this was kind of low res. And that's all that I used. I didn't use any fancy equipment, I just used this. I had a Poundland tripod that I put on the bottom, and it did the job. It does have a 32 times optical zoom, so that was pretty good. But as I said, 480p, and this was just my family camera, and my battery's dying. So now let's go on to the equipment that I use today. So this is pretty much everything that I use, and I have been using it for the past 6 months. And this here is the one that I use for all of my photos and thumbnails. So I did receive a comment on one of my vlogs the other day saying what camera did I use to take those photos, which was the snow vlog that I posted a few weeks ago. And it was this. This was the Nikon D40, and I've been using this for 1.5 years. So my mum actually bought it for herself, but she didn't know how to use it, so I kind of stole it from her again, and I then used it. And yeah, it's a pretty good camera. So the lens that I used on this was the 18 to 55mm kit lens that came with the camera. Now this is quite a few years old, so I'm sure you could probably find it on eBay. It did a very good depth of field whenever I needed it to, and it got the job done. And I used this for just over a year. And I used this for 1.5 years until back in February I then decided to look into getting another lens for this. So I did have 2 lenses at the time, and it was the 70 to 250mm macro lens, and it was this one as well, the 70 to 300mm lens. So I did decide to go with this one because this was a hell of a lot cheaper than the other one. But the one thing I did like about the 70 to 250 one is that it did do autofocus. And that is one thing that drives me crazy with this lens. It does have an incredible zoom, but the autofocus, it has to be perfect to try and get that good photo. Sometimes that is a little bit difficult. I have a normal mode, so it just allows me to zoom to 300, but it only gives me a certain amount of focus points. You're right there. It only gave me certain amounts of focus points, but whenever I switch into macro mode, it gives me a lot more focus. So I don't know, so I can get a better shot. So I will insert some pictures that I use with this lens and the other one right now. So now that's sort of cameras, let's talk about the action camera that I use. So I have done an unboxing on this on my channel before, and this is the 8-man A60. And it has done a very good job. It does 1080p at 30 frames per second, I think. And yeah, it does have a waterproof case and so many other accessories. And I did buy 2 extra batteries and a charger online for about £10, I think. So it is kind of cheap, and I think this camera actually does put the GoPro to test, and I will insert some footage that I used from this camera right now. This does come with a bunch of different accessories, and I think the one accessory that I'm probably going to be using more with this is, if I can get it out, is this one. So this here allows me to transfer from this adapter to this, and it does have a tripod mount on the bottom, which is where my new adapter that I bought on Amazon will come in. So right here I can screw this on, and it means that whenever I start vlogging again, because I definitely want to, I can then put this here attached to the windscreen, and it can get some car shots vlogs of inside the car, and then I'll just switch it around and it can get the outside shots as well. And this was actually fairly cheap on Amazon. I think it was something like £4. So as I said, most of this stuff is kind of cheap, but all products I talk about in this video will be in the description below. So now let's talk about tripods. So the tripod that I use right now is the Velbon EF63, something like that. And I did purchase this from Argos, and it was currently on a deal. I think I got it for about £40. And I was so fed up with buying cheap tripods all the time. They kept breaking after like 3 months, and I just got fed up with it. So I decided to invest in this one because it wasn't a deal. and this has been my favourite tripod of all time. It does have a very nice fluent head, and it also does extend to near enough my height. Now I am kind of small, but I think it goes for about 150 centimetres long. I wouldn't bother buying cheap tripods for now. I would save up and buy a proper one like this for the right amount of money, and it gets the job done perfectly. So now onto the mini tripod. So this here is the Vivitar bendy tripod, and I did talk about this in one of my old vlogs, and I sometimes use it. It's not exactly the Joby tripod style. It does get the job done, and I don't ever use this on this camera because it is kind of flimsy. I will only use this on my phone. The main mini tripod that I use is this one, and this is the Manfrotto Mini Pixie tripod. So one thing that I love about this is it is sturdy. It was kind of cheap, it was £20 on the Apple website. It's sturdy, and it does have, when you push in this button, a fluent head. It is kind of smooth, it does make a lot of noise, so hopefully I don't have to use the audio. But yeah, it gets the job done. And the only thing about it is, even though it doesn't bend, you can kind of see your arm whenever you're vlogging, but honestly, for the sake of it, it's fine. So if I just screw it onto this camera here, and then bend it out like that, you've got a perfect vlogging situation for actually a very cheap price. So the next mini tripod that I use, I'm attached to a case. The next mini tripod that I use is this one, which I got from Wish. Now this was for about £1, I think. Oh, and he's off. And it's very flimsy. I mean, I probably won't ever use this, but I mean, it will do fine for like my phone, or maybe my action camera this would be good for. But yeah, I don't think I'll be using this. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is SD cards. So this is my SD card case. Now this is a B-Way waterproof hardshell case for SD cards, and it does also support micro SD cards at the bottom of the SD cards. So in here I have two 256GB ones. I don't really use that often because they're very unreliable. I bought them from Wish, you know, basic, but they don't really work. I mean, they're fine for like the 2-minute clips that you're going to get, but usually after you go to watch them back, you'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, we cannot play this MP4 file, so I give up. So as I said before, I use the 16GB one in there, which is from SanDisk, and in here I use the PNY 16GB one, which has over, I think, 1,000 photos, and it's still not even filled up yet. So I think that SD card was very good. So the next topic is going to be microphones. Okay. Good boy. So next up we're going to talk about microphones. So the microphone that I use pretty much all the time is this Each-Shot Comica Pro Audio mic, and that's the microphone that I'm using right now actually. And it does come with 2 cables, so this grey one is for a phone and the black one is for your camera. It does also include a dead cat at the top here. And yeah, it's a pretty good microphone. I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, in my Vlogmas video, but no one really watched that. So right now I'm using the microphone, and this is what I use for pretty much all of my videos. So right now I've got the Each-Shot Comica microphone, and I'm about, I'd say, at least a metre away from the camera. So right now, as I said, I'm filming at 6 frames per second. But yeah, let's see what it's like. So this here is with the Each-Shot Comica mic in. Onboard microphone, so let's see if we can actually tell a difference. And I have to say, it's done very well. The other microphone that I did used to use, which you may have seen in my massive check unboxing, was the Boya WM4 wireless mic, and I actually returned them yesterday. And he's off again. I actually returned them yesterday because they didn't do a very good job. A lot of you guys kept saying that they were cutting out, kept crackling, and I returned them yesterday. I'm going to get my money back, and I might purchase a new set of wireless mics, I'm not sure, but yeah, they're going to be sent back. But the other microphone that I do sometimes use is this SEREE microphone that you may have seen me unbox back in August. So yeah, I did have it on the wrong setting, so it wasn't a microphone problem, it was a user problem. So now I'm going to show you what this actually sounds like on the right setting. So now we are using the SEREE microphone, and we are back at 6 frames per second, but one of the annoying things about this camera is the fact that it's not phantom powered. So with the Each-Shot Comica mic, it is phantom powered, so I don't need to have a battery put into it. But right now I'm standing about a metre away, so this here is a metre away from the SEREE mic. So this here is with the Each-Shot Comica mic. I've got it set on 0 decibels so that it's not so crackly or too quiet. But now I'm going to switch up to 10. Now it's actually on 20, so can you hear me from back here? I don't know. You might be able to. So it definitely does sound a lot better from when I tested it out in August. But the other microphone that I use is the voiceover mic, which is a Blue Snowball Ice. Yeah, the Blue Snowball Ice. So this is the white version, which I got for my birthday, which I unboxed in my Massive Tech Unboxing 2.0. And yeah, I've been using this for all of my voiceovers. It does sound very, very good. I'm very happy with it. And it does an extremely good job. So I think we've only got a couple of things left to talk about. So this here is my mobile phone stabilizer, which I use for all of my smooth shots. So there is an unboxing video coming out, I think next week of this, because I need to go out and properly test it out so I can show you guys what it actually looks like. But yeah, this is what I've been using. I'm very happy with it. This is my most recent purchase, kind of expensive, but it gets the job done. It does a very good job and I'm extremely happy with it. So I'm not going to go into too much detail because I will talk about that all in my unboxing video. There's literally two things I have to talk about. So the next thing is this little tub here, which is just a basic tub. And in here I have all of my essentials, which I must take out on me. My dongles. So I do have a USB to USB 3.0 from Apple. I bought this one from Wish, and this is the one thing I have to say is actually good from Wish. So this is a USB-C to 3 USB 3.0 ports, as well as a USB-C, so it allows me to charge my laptop as well as using the USB ports. And this here is a USB to SD card reader. A lot of USBs in that. And oh yeah, this is a 2 gig SD card. But I usually have spare batteries in here as well for my camera, but they all need to be on charge. So the final thing for me to talk about is what I use to edit my videos. So on here is every single one of my videos that I've been editing for the past year, since I've been doing for YouTube. They've all been edited on here, and this is my MacBook early 2015 version. I got this for Christmas, not in 2017 but in 2016, and this is my most prized possession ever. This here is my life, basically. I do everything on this laptop. All of these videos are always edited on here, unless sometimes I shoot them in 30 frames per second. Then I will use that. I'll use my old iMac for that because it does handle it. Here's the stupid thing, right? It will do 1080p at 30 frames per second, no problem whatsoever. You switch to 60, it struggles with it massively. You do 4K at 60 frames per second, it can handle it. Like, how stupid is that? And I edit all of my videos on Final Cut Pro 10. I've been using that since February last year. And yeah, I could talk for days about this laptop. It's my all-time favourite thing in this entire world. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already. We are so close to 200 subscribers and I cannot freaking wait. Actually, let me check to see how many subscribers we're on at the moment. So we are currently on 180 subscribers, so we only need 20 more to get to 100, and I'm so excited that I can't even speak. So excited to reach 200, and I have some really amazing and fun videos coming out very, very soon, in about 2 months time. No, April, May, June, July, 3 months time. Can't wait. So make sure you stick around and watch them, and you will see me in my next video. See you later. Goodbye.